Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button and leave a comment after the video and let me know what you think. Today's video is on Nicola Bulley, who seemingly vanished into thin air after dropping your children off at school at 8:40 in the morning at an elementary school in St. Michael's-on-the-Wyre, UK. The following is an animated representation of the timeline presented by law enforcement. After the presentation is complete, I will give you my thoughts on the case.
Nicola is a white lady, 5'3", with shoulder-length brown hair. She speaks with an Essex accent. She was last seen wearing a knee-length black gilet jacket and underneath an Engelbert Strauss black long-sleeve jacket to the waist. She was wearing black jeans, long green walking socks tucked into her jeans, and green ankle-length wellies. She has her hair tied in a ponytail and was wearing a pale blue Fitbit. I have a small number of detail extra to the timeline that I provided on Friday that fills in some of the gaps on the morning that Nicola disappeared. They include that at 8:26 a.m, Nicola left her home address with her children, and I know there's been CCTV images from her from her doorbell footage, that have been released, that may jog someone's memory. At 8:40, Nicola dropped her children off at school here in St. Michael's. At 8:43, she was seen on the river path towards the gate and the bench on the lower field. At 8:47, someone who knows Nicola saw her walking along the lower field with her dog, and the two dogs briefly interacted together. At 8:53, she sent an email to her boss. At 8:59, she sent a message to a friend. At 9:01, she logged onto a Teams call. And at 9:10, we have the last confirmed sighting of Nicola on the upper field walking her dog. We know from telephony work that her phone was located on the bench at 9:20. At 9:30, the Teams call ended, but Nicola's phone stayed logged in. and at 9:33 approximately her phone and her dog were found by another witness who doesn't know her.
Law enforcement seems to believe that between 9:10 and 9:20, that's where the missing time is. But I think 9:20 to 9:30 is where the missing time is, because I believe that she would have brought the phone back to the bench, unless you think it is a setup of some kind, a decoy, as some people call it out there. Now, there's an individual named Peter Falding who has a private search company who has been in the area and searched some stretches of the river and said that if he can't find her, then she's not in that section of the river. Doesn't mean she's not in another section of the river. He just said he's certain that Nicola's body is not in the water where he searched. Here are some comments that Peter made.
I said that if Nicola's here, I'll find her. If Nicola was in that river, I would have found her. I can guarantee you that. She wouldn't have, we would have found her, and she's not there.
As you can hear, Peter Falding is very certain that Nicola's body is not in the portion of the Wyre River that he has searched.
Down that section, the lower section, right the way down where we haven't searched, that's not my responsibility. That's the police's responsibility to do that area.
Peter Falding also had some interesting comments on the Leicestershire Live website. I'll put the link in the description. The article states, the diving expert who led the hunt for missing mom Nicola Bulley today said he has proof she didn't fall into the river where police believe she did. Peter Falding, 60, says he filmed the River Wyre, showing it to be slow moving, meaning a body would have sunk very quickly and remained nearby. He also said the rocks by the bank, which would have been under just 2 feet of water when Nicola went missing, means she could have simply stood up if she had fallen down. He said the video makes him believe Nicola didn't fall into the river in St. Michael's in Wyre when she vanished 13 days ago while walking her dog. And he felt a wider land search of outbuildings and sheds was now needed after his team's sonar scans of the river failed to find any proof of her body in the river. Mr. Falding, drafted in to help Lancashire police efforts, called off his search on Wednesday after his team found no trace of her using its advanced sonar equipment. But when police probing her disappearance say they believe she fell in, he believes a barely moving log on the water blows their theory apart, he said. The log stayed at that point for 20 minutes, and it actually spiraled and went up 6 feet and came back to the same place. The river on the day was slightly higher. It was about 1 foot higher, but I'd be very surprised in my experience if she was there, as a body usually goes to the bottom very quickly. If Nicola slipped down the bank, she would have landed in about 2 feet of water, but onto rocks, and she could have stood up. Later in the article, Falding states that the family thanked us for being here. They said, "You've given us confidence now," and his belief is that Nicola has not gone in that river. We've gone about a mile upstream, which is way up the search area, and ruled there is nothing in that section of the river. If you start putting the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle together, it's very strange, and it would need an extremely strong current on the day to take her so quickly over the weir before the police arrived. And if she was floating, she would have been seen by the public or landed elsewhere, and there's just no sign of this poor lady. So let's discuss what might be going on here. We know that Nicola was last seen at around 9:10 a.m. by somebody that knows her. Whether that time is 100% accurate, we don't know. Then at 9:20, her phone is on the bench over here. Now, she had previously logged into a team meeting, as we heard in the press conference, at 9 o'clock, and the meeting was over at 9:30. So she likely was holding the phone and had it on her and listening to the meeting as she was walking her dog Willow. Then she walks back to the bench, perhaps to then put the harness back on her dog to walk the trail back to her car. But somehow in that small amount of time between 9:20 and 9:30, she went missing. Now keep in mind, Nicola was apparently a very good swimmer. Her dog was dry. The harness is something that they would often take off when bringing the dog to the two fields because it's locked in. There's a gate that goes all the way around, and then water protects the other borders. So you can just take the harness off and let the dog run freely. And that's why it's interesting that the harness is on the ground between the water and the bench. It seems like she was maybe about to try to put the harness on the dog, and something happened right at that point, and her phone was found on the bench. I think the phone being on the bench implies, unless there's a nefarious decoy reason for putting the phone there, that she made her way back to the bench with her dog Willow. The harness is between the bench and the river, which makes me believe that she perhaps set the phone down and was sitting there still listening, because the meeting was going to go on for another 10 minutes or so. And she was then going to put the harness back on her dog, but in that small window of time, she vanished. This makes it possible that somebody could have abducted her, but it seems very unlikely in this area, given all the people walking their dogs and moving around, enjoying the beautiful scenery, that somebody would abduct her. Just seems a little far-fetched in that area. But as we've seen in other cases, anything's possible. It's also possible that she left on her own, and perhaps knowing the dog wouldn't be able to get out of this area here since it's fenced in and it's landlocked, unless the dog wanted to swim, she could just leave the dog in here and it wouldn't be able to escape, and then walked over here to this fence and jumped over and took off, starting a new life somewhere. That doesn't seem very likely either, since she has 2 kids and apparently had a good life going. But we never know what's really going on behind closed doors. Then there's also the possibility that she fell into the water during the time she was trying to put the harness maybe back on her dog, or some other event happened and she fell into the water. Now the searchers haven't found her, and it's been 13 days now, and they still have not found Nicola. And as we heard, the private searcher didn't find her body in the stretch of the water that he searched, and doesn't believe she fell in there and conducted tests and experiments, and just doesn't believe that she went into the water, as she would have surely been found by now. It's interesting that the searcher went a mile upstream. How would her body have gotten upstream? She would have had to climb over a fence with her dog, go up here, and then walk. It just doesn't really make any sense why you would even look a mile upstream. But I guess you gotta search everywhere and check every nook and crevice to see if you can find her. This case is very interesting, and it's much like Maura Murray, somebody who just vanished off the face of the earth in a seemingly short amount of time, and people had seen her. Very similar. So the question I ask is, where is Nicola Bulley? Did she leave on her own? Was she abducted? Or did she pass out and fall into the river and drift downstream before anybody was able to find her? Leave your comments under the video and let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there.